Hello and welcome to another episode of Cards Unbarred. My name's Ryan, and in this video I'm going to teach you the 2 to 4 player trick-taking game, Malabares, designed by Arthur Lacerda. The components of Malabares consist of 17 juggling cards, 8 knives that are ranked with odd numbers 1 to 15, 8 torches that are ranked even numbers from 2 to 16, and 1 club that is a rank of 9+. The game also comes with 1 double-sided circus card, and if you have the expansion components, the game will also come with 2 more juggling cards, a 17 for the knife suit and an 18 for the torches suit, as well as 1 9+ brick card and a new double-sided circus card. For the first part of this video, we will be explaining the rules to the base game, which is only for 2 to 3 players. So the 17 and 18, as well as the 9+ brick card and the new circus card will be returned to the box. We will go over those components at the end of the video. Additionally, we will discuss the rules for 3-player first and then go over the changes for 2 players. To set up for a 3-player game of Malabares, first shuffle the 17 juggling cards and deal 5 cards to each player. Players may look at these 5 cards that were dealt to them, but make sure to keep them hidden from all other players. Additionally, players should make sure they reserve a space in front of them on the table, as cards will be placed here, and these cards are known as being on the floor. Then there will be 2 cards that were left undealt. Place both of these cards face up in the center of the table. These cards are known as being in the air. Next, place the circus card with the day side face up, nearby for all players to see. Lastly, the player who has most recently been to the circus will be the first lead player. Malabares is a must-follow trick-taking game. What that means is the lead player will play any 1 card from their hand, and every other player must play a card of that suit if they have one. However, before the very first trick, all players need to make sure that when they hold their hand, they rotate all cards so that the darker side is showing face up in their hand. So there are these hand symbols up here, if I could put it appropriately, that have a little negative value that are darker on one side. Those should all be what's face up when you're holding your hand. Now, after every player has done that, the first player can lead any card into the trick. Now, for the purposes of this video and making sure we can understand the rotation and how this is all going to play out, I've lined up our players so that way when I rotate cards, any card that is facing up like this, where the light side is above and the dark side is down, is how you know the orientation. So when you choose to lead the trick, again, you can play any card you want. And let's say we'll have this player lead this torch. When you play the card from your hand, you are going to rotate it so that the light side is now the side that is face up. So the dark side is what's in my hand, and as it gets played to the table, it's now going to be up on the light side. We then go in clockwise order to the next player, and they must play a torch if they have one in their hand. In this case, they have 4 of them, so they've got plenty of options, and they will choose to play this 4, so they will rotate it out of their hand, and they are juggling it essentially to play it onto the table. And we come to the last player here. They've got a 2 and an 8, so they would have to choose one of those, and let's have them play this 2. So they're going to rotate the 2 face up. So now it's like this. And once everyone's played a card into the trick, we look to see what's the highest number that's been played, regardless of suit. In this case, we all played the same suit, so it doesn't matter. The 12 is the highest number. They are going to choose one of the 2 cards that's in the air. So again, these cards were played on the table, but they are not currently in the air. It's only these 2 cards we're looking at right now. This player will choose one of them to put back into their hand. So they're going to take this 16, which is already in the air and is being juggled currently. So that means this light side is going to go face up in their hand. So if we come back to their hand real quick, they've got these 4 cards that are on the dark side, but this 1 card that's on the light side. They're now done, so it goes to the next highest card, which is the 4, and they must take the other card that's left over, again putting it with the face up, the light side face up in their hand. Now the player who played the lowest card has nothing left in the air to pick from. What they're actually going to do is drop the ball. They're going to drop the juggling act, essentially. So they're going to take the highest card that was played in the trick and place it face up on the table in front of them with the light side face up. And this is going to be something that they will score. They can no longer juggle this. They've dropped it on the ground. They only have 4 cards left in their hand. They no longer have a 5th card. The other 2 cards then go into the air. These are still being juggled. The person who played the lowest then leads the next trick. They got to get back into the juggling. So they come over to their hand and they will play this 8 torch, rotating it so that it's now the light side into the trick. We come to the next player over here. They did take a 16 torch from the air, so that is the other card they'd have to play. However, they do have this club card in their hand. The club can be played at any time. Even if you have a card that would follow suit, you can choose to play the club instead. So they're going to do that, and so they would rotate that card into the trick, and now it's face up. And then lastly, we come to the middle player here. They've got 3 torches to pick from, and they will choose to play this 14, rotating that, making sure that the light sides face up. So again, we go to highest number regardless of suit, which is the 14. But let's quickly go over the club. The club is a 9+. That means it ranks above the 9, but below the 10. So if you ever have those cards in the trick together, let's see. So like if this player had played that, this would rank above the 9. But anyway, they played the 14 here. So they must choose the 2 or the 4 to take into their hand. They're going to take the 4 face up. And then now the 9 goes next. They must take the 2. And then lastly, the 8 takes the 14 and scores it. They then move those cards to the air, and then this person would lead the next trick. Now let's have them play this 1. We'll just do another trick here real quick. And then the next player will do this 15, rotating it face up. And then they're going to play that 9 again, rotating it face up. Well, it already was. But either way, 15 comes here. They take one of these 2 cards. They're going to take this 8 back into their hand. They take the 9 here, takes the 9+. The 1 takes the 15, scores it. They go over here. And trick play would continue like this round and round the table until one or more players only has 1 card left in hand, meaning they've scored 4 cards face up on the table and they've dropped the juggling 4 times. So essentially, after every trick, you've done the 3 drafting elements. You check to see does any player only have 1 card left in hand. If so, the round would end. If not, you continue playing tricks until that happens. There's also another way the round can end early, which is this card here, which I'll explain in a second. But if you do end the round this way, all players will take all cards that are face up on the table already and add any cards that are in their hand, keeping it in the orientation it was. If this was still on the dark side, I would put it with the dark side down. But of course, if it was face up, I'd put it the face up light side. Every player would be taking this to determine what their score is. Depending on the side that this card is on, which in this case is the day side, you're going to score the points that show on the day value. So in this case, 5 + 4 + 6 + 1 + 1. And this player would look, they've got a -1, -1, -1, because these are all on the hand side. 0, -5. So very bad round for this player. And then the last player would do the same thing over there. However, if at one point a player has either in their hand or face up on the table a combination of torches only and club. So any combination on the table or in hand, and they are all on their light side. You can't have any in your hand that are on the dark side. Then you have done the Pioline move, and you essentially do the shoot the moon mechanic in trick-taking games. And instead of scoring whatever's shown on the card, you will get 4 points per card you have. So this -5 becomes a +4. So if you think you're going to get this card, which is a lot of negative points, you could try to take only torches, and then you can actually turn all of those into a positive score instead. If this card was on the night side, it would be the same thing, but with the swords or the knives. If you have those instead, you will score 4 points for every card. After all players have scored up their points, they will take all 5 of those cards that they scored into their hand. That will actually be their hand for the next round. So as the first round, you'd flip this daytime card over to the nighttime. The game is only played over 2 rounds. At the end of the 2 rounds, the player with the most points wins. So you would take all the cards that you scored into your hand, and then you would start a second round using the exact same rules as before. Now, just to show a few other trick examples, because I know the timing of this and the rotating of cards and what's out where can be a little confusing. So I'm just going to set up a couple of cards here. We'll say we're on the daytime still, And let's say this player leads the 7 knife, which is in their hand. They rotate it to be on the light side. The next player doesn't have a knife. They take this torch, flip it face up, and then the last player has a torch or a knife in their hand and they flip it face up. Now in this case, we again look for the highest number regardless of suit. So the 13 is the highest number. They choose between these. They will take the 4 into their hand with the light side face up. The 10 must take the 14. The 7 will score the 13, which goes face up on the table. So these cards are back in hand. This stays on the table. These cards go into the center of the table in the air. Player who played the lowest leads the next trick. The rules for a 2-player game are slightly different. Starting with setup, first shuffle the deck and deal 6 cards to each player. This will leave 5 cards undealt. Take 2 of those at random and place them face up off to the side. These cards will not be used in the first round, but will come into play in the second round. The remaining 3 cards will be placed in the center of the table. These are the cards that are in the air. And place the circus card near the 2 cards left off to the side. Trick play in the 2-player game is also a little bit different than the 3-player. You still have the must follow rule where the lead player plays any card from their hand. Let's have them play this knife, and then the player who's following must play a card that matches that suit if they have one. So let's have them play the 9. They could also play the club if they wanted to. Now, however, we're going to go back and have each player play a second card into the trick, starting with the second player, then coming back to the lead player. The second player at this point, though, can play any card they want. They could choose another knife, or they could choose to switch to torches, or of course always play the club. But they're going to play a torch this time, and when it comes back to the lead player, they must play a card that matches what that second card was played by the second player. So they must play a torch, which in this case, that's all they've got in their hand. So they will play this 2. Now, resolving these cards works exactly the same as the way it did before. We're looking for the highest number regardless of suit. So it would be the 9, then the 6, then the 3, then the 2. And you are doing the drafting of the cards from the in the air into your hand and scoring just like you did before, and you're checking each card independently. So this player has the highest. They will take one of these back into their hand, and then they have the second highest, so they will take one of these back into their hand. And then the third highest will take the last card that's left into their hand, and then the lowest will take the highest from the trick that gets scored face up, and these 3 cards go into the air. They would then lead the next trick. So looking at their hand, they play this torch. Coming to them, they must play a torch. And then the second one, they'll play the club. And because the club doesn't have a suit, it means this follow player can play any card they want into the trick since they can't follow that suit. So they will choose to play this 1. And again, you would do the drafting. 16 picks one of those. Then the 9 picks 1. The 8 picks 1. The 1 scores the 16. And you continue trick play like this, where a player only has 2 or more cards left in hand. You'd score your cards just the way you did before. Anything that's face up on the table, you take your hand, add it to those cards, score anything positively based on the day or nighttime that you're in. Anything that was the negative for the hands, you'd subtract those, subtract from the club. But of course, if you did have the Piolín move, you'd score that instead. And you would take all cards that you scored back into your hand. Now, those 2 cards that were left off to the side will be replaced by 2 cards that are in the air. So you would randomly take these 3 and take 2 cards out and replace it with these 2. And those are the 3 cards that are in the air for the start of the second hand. These will be out of the game at this point, and you make sure you flip that card over to the night side. When playing with 4 players, you need to include the new 17 and 18 mini expansion cards. You simply add those to the deck. You will then shuffle the deck and deal 4 cards to each player. The 3 undealt cards go face up in the center of the table to be the cards in the air, and otherwise the rest of the rules play exactly the same as the 3-player game. Meaning each player plays a card into the trick, you draft from highest to lowest, and you will play until only 1 card is left in hand, or if someone does the Piolín move. The other mini expansion is the Cobogán finale, and this replaces the standard circus card as well as the club card. This expansion can be used when playing with 2, 3, or 4 players, and the only difference in the game is how this 9 card can be played. The Cobogán brick can only be played if you cannot follow the lead suit. So before, the club could be played at any time. If somebody leads a torch and you have a torch and the club, you could choose to play the club. However, this brick can only be played if you do not have torches in your hand. Otherwise, the purpose of this card works the same for the scoring purposes here, trying to shoot the moon and have this as well as the cards of the opposite type. The biggest difference though here actually is that instead of scoring 4 points for every card, you actually immediately win the game. Even if it's the first half of the game, you don't even play the second half, you've just immediately won. But if you don't get that, then this card is worth more negative points. All other rules are the same based on the player count that you're playing at. Otherwise, that's everything you need to know to play Malabares. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thanks so much for watching.